Hello, I'm Graham Jones and welcome to Channel KT4, broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. You can join in by sending in questions during the show. Just press the comments button on the screen. Don't forget to click the like or share buttons. If you're watching on YouTube, please click to subscribe to Channel KT4. It's free. I'm so pleased to welcome to my virtual studio Dorothy Watson, the CEO of the Sunnybank Trust based in Epsom. Welcome, Dorothy, and thank you for taking the time to join me here on Channel KT4.
Thank you for inviting me, Graham. It's great to be here, actually. Really nice. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Do you know something, Dorothy? I'm looking outside and thinking, actually, now we can gather as a group of 6. What I could have done is I could have set the studio outside in my garden, and I could have come over and we could have social distanced and had a couple of cameras and tried to do that. That would have been a bit really good fun, wouldn't it?
That would have been quite fun. Yeah, definitely.
Right. Okay. So Dorothy, I'm so thrilled that you're on the show today, and I'd like you to tell me something about how the Sunnybank Trust actually got started.
Well, the Sunnybank Trust has got a very interesting story. I was telling you about this yesterday, Graham. But we grew out of the Epsom history. For those that don't know, Epsom used to have a cluster of hospitals, 5 huge hospitals around the area. I think they were set up in the 1880s. 5 asylums were bought for 40,000. I'm just reading my notes here. In the 20th century, those hospitals were used as war hospitals, but they were also used as, in the old terms, they were asylums. And for many years, residents that were considered needing medical support were put into the hospitals. And in the 1980s, under the care in the community, these hospitals were closed, and all of those long-term residents were then put back into the community. Now, those residents included people that might have had mental health issues, but also many of them had learning disabilities. And for many of them, they had grown up in the hospitals and didn't know anything different until they were put back into the community. And it was at that point, really, that our founder, Tom Tutt, and a group of volunteers basically said, well, what's going to happen to them? All they've known all their lives is what society decided is the medical model of disability, and what's going to happen to them now they're back in the community. And that's really how the Sunnybank Trust started, was friendship with people with learning disabilities. And over the years, obviously, we've grown and changed and evolved. But that was our starting point. And it's still living history. There are still a lot of people that will remember the old hospital cluster. There will be people who work there. There are definitely people who stayed there that were residents there. So it is actually a very, very important part of our history. And it's one of the reasons why this area, Northeast Surrey, has one of the biggest spikes in learning disability across the country. And it is down to the hospitals, Graham.
Actually, thanks very much, Dorothy, for that. And I didn't know until we talked yesterday about this cluster of 5 wonderful hospitals. And I've been thinking about this, and I actually think that the story of those 5 hospitals is worth a program in its own right. So I'm going to ask you if you'd be happy to come on at a later date, and we can talk about all of that. And I may even see if we can think about, we talked about it, about a documentary type way of doing that, because I think it's an absolutely incredible story, particularly because, as you said, Dorothy, this is living history. And
Absolutely.
I'm such a fan. I'm such a fan of living history, particularly living history in Epsom and Ewell, which is absolutely quite amazing. Now, I see, Dorothy, you brought along a special guest today, who's Martin, one of your ambassadors. Martin's your 18 to 30 swag disco DJ, and I'm going to get Martin to tell me all about that. But Martin, in his own right, he's quite a star. Not only is he a great advocate for people with learning difficulties, but he's a TV star, having appeared on BBC. I think he's also appeared on ITV various news features and various things. So I'm absolutely delighted to get this TV star into my studio. So he's currently sat in the green room, and I'm sure he's looking forward to coming out onto the screen. So everybody at home, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Martin.
Hello, Ollie. Hello, Graham. How are you doing today?
I'm very, very well, Martin, and I'm absolutely delighted to see you. And thanks for coming on. I want you to tell me a little bit, Martin, about this swag disco stuff that's going on.
Why? When in 2014, I first heard about the Sunnybank Trust in 2014, and I didn't know about this charity. So a friend of mine asked me, how do I want to be part of the Pizza Club? And I said, yes, please. And then I've been going to a lot of their meetings, and we had our first ever NFT disco at UNESCO College. So I've been part of Sunnybank since 2014. So nearly 7 years. And the Swag Club, we have a group. We have a great member. So yeah, the Swag Club started off in 2017, and I'm the main DJ for the Swag Club, really. So yeah, and it's been going on for since 2017, so nearly 4 years.
That's brilliant, Martin. Now, just tell me, you mentioned something about pizza. What's all that about? Tell me about this pizza.
Okay. In 2014, like I said, they have a pizza planning group every Thursday afternoon around lunchtime. So people can meet up and discuss what do we need for the discos, really. So yeah.
Oh, brilliant!
When we started it, Graham, when we started it, we were approached by Nestle to become involved with their young students, and so we went down there, and basically we started by saying, well, what do the guys want themselves? And these are students with a range of learning disabilities and difficulties, which is slightly different to disabilities, and so we met the students, and very common to this particular group, socializing outside college, socializing for anyone with a learning disability is a really big challenge. And this is one of the most marginalized groups within our community. So we started by having a lunch club. Well, the lunch club was where everybody was meant to bring their own lunch. But what actually happened was they said, hey, why don't we get a takeaway pizza when we're meeting, and we can kind of chat and talk about what we want. So we organized, we had pizza, and we were sort of chatting about what kind of things they wanted to do. And they said they wanted their own club. They wanted somewhere that they could meet their friends. And they decided to call themselves the Pizza Planning Group. And that's why Martin was welcomed into the Pizza Planning Group, where guys decided they wanted discos. And one of the guys said, well, I know somebody who's really talented at music and DJing, and he's called Martin. I'll see if he'll come along. And that was where we met Martin.
Yeah,
well, I think that's absolutely brilliant, and I like it. I like the title here. This Pizza Planning Club. Yeah, it sounds like it's a branch of Epsom and Ewell Borough Council.
It was very important, Graham. Very important.
Yeah, it is. So Dorothy, come on. Let's get down to the nub here. Let's get into it. What's Sunnybank? What does it do? What's it all about? Or should I ask Martin?
I'll start, and then we'll pass over to Martin. There we are. We'll do it that way. Martin, we were chatting earlier.
That's good, yeah.
So So we work with adults with learning disabilities, and a learning disability is basically a reduced intellectual ability and difficulty with everyday activities. That can include socializing, that can include household tasks. And as I said, this area has got a very large conurbation. We have 3 ways we work with people with learning disabilities. We do a whole host of social activities. That's really where people get to know you. They make contact. That's our doorway, so they can come to clubs, they can get to know and meet new friends, they can try new skills. So we have that as one whole area of services. Behind that, we have a fantastic advocacy team. It's free of charge. We have a volunteer team of advocates who basically will support people either on an issue like finance, accommodation, or long term. And they basically will support that person to have a voice. They will support that person. If there is a meeting and that person with a learning disability has a particular opinion, they will be there with that person to make sure that person is heard within the meeting. And that can be a meeting with your social workers. It can be a meeting about a scam or some abuse that's happened to you. And so having the advocacy behind our clubs, it means that as and when things crop up for the guys, they then have got that resource to say, look, something's happened here. I need some extra help to get my voice over. There is a story very quickly of one of our chaps was in Sainsbury's in Cheam, and he got chatted up by a couple of girls and they asked if they could borrow some money. So he gave them his card, his cash card. They went and cleared his account out and left him. So basically he was left in Cheam, didn't have any money or anything. He walked home. He that night came to our club. We have a driver that picked him up and brought him to the club. And he arrived and he was in a terrible state. And it was when he was actually sat down with one of our volunteers and he said, well, I got no money. And he then talked about what had happened. So we got an advocate to go with him to the bank, to the police to report this and to make sure that everything that he needed to do to log this crime was done. And because of that, the bank reimbursed his money. They never caught the girls, but the bank reimbursed his money. And that is a really good example of how we work, that we've got our clubs and we've also got the advocacy there. Last of all, we have a transition for the young, trendy guys like Martin, anyone between 18 and 24, 25, even 26, who is leaving full-time college or is at that life change where they need to develop community resilience. They need to begin to really understand the adult world. So we've got a team of about 16 younger ones who are part of our futures group. That's it. I'm going to stop talking now, Graham.
That's okay. It's your time, and the camera is pointing at you. So Dorothy, don't hesitate. Do carry on. Now I have to say, but I'm sorry. First of all, I was going to say that actually I was reading up yesterday about the advocates and advocacies and various things like that, and I was going to ask the question on how that works, and you've actually given such a brilliant description of it happen, of how advocates can support people in real benefit to the people within the communities. That's brilliant. Now, Martin, what I've got to say here for a moment, so let's put the three of us here, is actually there's a comments button that people can click and they can make a comment. And we've received a comment, Martin, and it's from Dora May. And Dora May is saying, Martin, you're a star. And don't forget, Dorothy, another star with love. And that's from Dora May Hancock. So
thank you, Dora.
There we go. And anybody else, if you want to drop a little comment in, please do. We'd love to hear from you. So that's great. Martin, so
hello.
Hello again. So you're going to pick up on where Dorothy was on talking about what Sunnybank Trust actually does. So do you have a few words you'd like to say on that?
Yes. We before the lockdown, we used to have loads of different activities, such as the drumming group. We used to do a lot of the drumming group. We did birthday shout outs, which I used to do for the Kai's Club, like once a month. Another activities we used to do is we have a little cafe every week, and there's a snack shop as well. So our members can come in and have a little snack before they take part. And they used to have a dance class called Maluku, and that's where a dance teacher comes in and teaches dance. So that's really fascinating, really.
I think it's
And
quite fascinating, isn't it? All the various things that are going on within the club. What did you call that? Did you call that Maluku? Was that the correct pronunciation? Did I hear right?
yes, she did. She 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 was a she. Sorry. I put my mouth into gear. She is a dance teacher, and she comes into the Kai's Club and teaches us to dance. So other members can do dance with her as well. So
Okay, so
and
Martin, Martin, is that a type of dance that she
yes,
does?
it is. Yes, it is really.
Because I'm kind of like it must be something that's happened since me, because I'm a little older than you, I think, by about 2 or 3 years, so it's a different form of dance that I've never heard of before.
Yeah. A lot of the members love her so much, really. So yeah.
I can imagine they do. Now, Dorothy, there's must have been a huge amount of challenges this year, both for the charity and for people with learning disabilities, as we've made very clear on the program that I had the pleasure of watching from the BBC, and I'm only sorry that through technology, and it's only technology, it's my fault that I've not been able to show that lovely clip, but I will show it at some point in the future. So how's the charity coped with all these challenges within this crazy world of this pandemic?
Well, I mean, we're working with probably, as I said earlier, probably one of the most isolated and marginalised groups in the community. And before the pandemic, people with learning disabilities were 14 to 18 years younger in mortality. So they would die sort of 14 to 18 years younger than the general population. So we went into this pandemic, and what we really felt was that we needed to make sure we were connected to everybody. We work across care homes, we work with families, and we work with individuals who are out in the community and don't get so much support. So the first thing we did was basically mobilize a whole telephone network to make sure that we were in contact with all of our members, so that we knew if they needed anything, if there was any problems, if they were frightened, if they, ran out of food. So the beginning of the pandemic, it was very much about dealing with the emergencies. But we also realized that in order to carry on, we needed to be connected. So we delivered and developed and delivered a huge online program of activities, ranging from the pub quiz on a Friday night, Monday motivation, a mad drama group, which is chaos. We've got about 4 or 5 groups each day for guys to connect up with. One of the big challenges is, especially for this group, that if you are living on your own with a learning disability, accessing technology is really, really difficult. And that barrier doesn't just exist accessing Sunnybank Zoom groups, but it also meant things like getting hold of the GP. How do you get hold of a GP if you have a learning disability, if you don't go online, and you can't really make sense of phone calls? So there's a huge number of barriers there that became even more apparent as we were going into the pandemic and made people feel even more isolated. One of the things we did as a result was we launched a radio show, a twice weekly radio show by people with learning disabilities, that would happen twice a week, and it took the place of what people were getting from our huge kites club that existed before the pandemic. And that was about shout outs and information. It was great.
Yeah, now I think that's from Sunny Hills, isn't it? Radio. And I think we're going to talk about that a little later on. And I actually did. You sent me 2 lovely little clips, and I had a listen to that, and it is a brilliant show. Sorry to cut you off there, but Martin, I noticed that we've got members, we've got ambassadors, and we've got advocates. And obviously you're a member, but you're also an ambassador. How would you talk about the role of the ambassador within Sunnybank Trust?
Oh, yeah, put me on the spot here, Graham.
I think, Martin, it's probably because I'm a little dicky bird is telling me that you've been responsible for the Friday night pub quiz, and I think that's an ambassador's role. And also with your DJing and all of that. I think
yes, we did. Yes, we did. The virtual pub quiz came across last year because I was listening to the radio one time, and they mentioned about a virtual pub quiz. I thought, let's make a virtual pub quiz for members. He can't go out to the pub every night, every week. So how do we can bring a virtual pub how about we can bring let's just argue this. How about we can bring a virtual pub virtually? That was my idea. And another thing I had an idea of. Because during this lockdown, we didn't have a disco at all. So I went to this 90s festival on Zoom, which my friend Ron used to host, and then I thought I just had an idea of a disco. Let's do a virtual swag night virtually, so people can log on and have a boogie online.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
And the disco has been top notch ever since. I know there was a couple of technical issues within the last couple of times, but we managed to get sorted out within the next disco. So
well, one of the things, Martin, I was just going to add in, one of the things that I think Sunnybank is very good at doing is listening to what the members actually want. We've got, the thing is, we've got some amazing guys. I mean, Martin, he's so talented. His music, his DJing, his ideas, and it's really facilitating those ideas and really supporting them to nurture and develop that, because the service of the monthly online discos now for all the 18 to 30-year-olds, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. You get a whole screen of guys in their rooms dancing to Martin's music. It's absolutely brilliant, really.
No, I agree with you. I think it's an absolutely marvelous job, and that's what I was saying. Is that actually I see Martin as being a very active and involved and very clever ambassador. Which is really good. Dorothy, we need to move on just a little bit, if I may, and I'm very interested in our viewers knowing something about the Sunnybank Trust doorstep campaign. Could you just explain that a little bit to me?
Yeah, I mean, what we did during lockdown was that the care homes that we work with, some of them have been in lockdown since last March, and they have not left their grounds. And, there are communities of people that society just wasn't seeing. people with learning disabilities have been disproportionately let down throughout this whole pandemic. I mean, people with learning disabilities are 6 times more likely to die from COVID than any other group. So we decided, we went round to our members again. One of our guys said, why don't we have photographs of us on doorsteps so that people remember that there are other people in the community that are in lockdown that you might not see. There was a huge amount in the press about care homes and the elderly, quite rightly, but learning disability just didn't get any mention or any reflection. So over the sort of beginning months of the pandemic, we launched a campaign of photos on the doorstep, which we're looking at the moment. And from that, we went into Breaking Barriers campaign, which is really saying we're moving into a new type of world. You know, we've got a new normal, and people with learning disabilities all their lives have had to deal and face with many barriers. Let's start changing. Let's start making this world that we're moving into more accessible. Let's break those barriers down. Let's look at things like, you know, signs. Can signs be more accessible? Can shops be more accessible? Can we get more easy read, stuff that people with learning disabilities are more comfortable and able to read? Can people think about their website and information they're giving out? Can we make that more accessible? So it was a real positive drive from the guys that we're supporting to say, don't forget learning disability. Let's make this next step an inclusive step. Let's make it one where everybody is part of our community, not just those that can read and can kind of, you know, interact in what the community does already. So that was the aim of the campaign, and it's something that we continue, and which is why people like Martin are so good at being the ambassadors, you know, at so good at actually saying, I've got a learning disability, you know, this is who I am. We're no different. You know, we just need reasonable adjustments.
Yeah, I think that's marvelous. And you're talking about the new normal, as it were. And I think the doorstep campaign is absolutely superb. And you're quite right. There's some people kind of like disappear from society. And, you know, of course, the care homes are very important, the elderly, the vulnerable, and everything else like that. And of course, there's other groups, and they need to be thought of. And so I think that your photo campaign on the doorsteps is truly a very great project. Now, and it leads on nicely to where we're going in the future. How's the charity going to develop, evolve? So many things have changed, and I think some of the positive changes will continue. I think that's part of the new norm, that some of those positive changes are going to continue in the future. Have you any thoughts on that, Dorothy?
I think in terms of our services, I think we're looking at a blended model of online and face-to-face. Over the pandemic, we now have got people joining us from Leicester, from Cambridge, from Bromley. So, you know, we've suddenly developed friendships and relationships with other people with learning disabilities across the country, which is something really exciting. I think on a bigger issue, I think the biggest thing is really looking at how our community can become more accessible. You know, things like a website. Is there something that we can think about to make it easier for people with a learning disability to you know, become part of or buy or whatever the barriers are? There is a thing called the Sunflower Lanyard, which is where somebody can go into a shop. If they have a lanyard on, it's a symbol of a hidden disability. And that is just one tool that is a really good one, so that if they go into, you know, a supermarket and they have their sunflower lanyard on, the shop will know that person has a hidden disability and may need a bit of support. So it's things like that, I think, that we really want to promote and encourage the community to get involved.
Martin has
one. Excellent, Martin.
Thank you.
No, that's really good. And I think actually, Dorothy, we need to really shout that out, because absolutely. I mean, I don't know anything about that. I know I don't work in a shop, but I think it's something that needs to be out there in the community, doesn't it? So I think that's important. Martin, could you just flag that? Could you just show it one more time for me, please?
I can. Hang on.
Here we go. There it is. Can you show it completely? Can we see the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. That's absolutely superb. Martin, thank you very much for that. And I think the other you mentioned about that we've got websites and interconnecting because of technology, and I've been a great advocate through lockdown to say that actually I think this platform, the internet platform, has come of age and used in such a positive way to get information out to the communities. I know some areas of the communities, including some of the elderly, some other people, have slight issues with adapting and learning the technology. But with help and guidance, which is what Sunnybank Trust is doing, I think that it's a really great positive. And one of the other positives, I'm going to show you a picture here that I've put together. And there it is. It's the Sunnybank Trust, and it's the Surrey Hills Radio. And I know it's a little small on the screen there. At the bottom left is the actual program, which I think broadcasts twice a week for an hour. It's on Thursday and Saturday, I think, between 11 and 12.
It's Mondays and Thursdays at the moment. It's a fantastic show. We have all sorts of amazing people with learning disabilities being interviewed by John. We had Down syndrome, which was started by a young woman with Down syndrome. It really is what we see as a real hub for the learning disability community and a really good platform for talented people like Martin and many other people with learning disabilities.
Yeah. I actually think it's a brilliant platform, and I have tuned in and had a listen to it, and I have to tell you that Surrey Hills Radio is now on my radar, and I'll be contacting them to chat with them soon. So whenever I talk to charities, I have to ask the real question about how are you funded, and most importantly, what can people do to help?
Okay, so we basically are fundraising all the time. We currently are benefiting. We have some money from the National Lottery. We have some money from some other trusts, but year on year, we have to start again and raise funds all the time. We're a community charity, and so the pandemic has really proved the value of small community charities and what they are doing on the ground, because if you'd taken that group away from how the pandemic was supported, there would have been a huge gap. So there's a value to the charities, and it's actually telling people, if you're going to support local, because there's some really, really good charities there, and we're one of them. What do we want people to do? Get involved with us. We would love you to volunteer. We have all sorts of volunteering roles. We would love you to fundraise for us, to donate to us. We're currently looking for a sponsor for our radio show. So if you have any high connections, get in touch and let us know. That would be really, really helpful. We're a really vibrant charity. I hopefully people have got that. Martin is a really good ambassador for that, and there are so many other people within the community that are just great to get to know. And so it would be to get in touch. You can visit the website. Do I tell my website address, Graham, or do we leave that till the end?
Yes. No, do please.
Oh, okay.
Please go.
Okay, so the website address is www.sunnybanktrust.org. You can have a look. We've got an accessible information hub as well. So if you are somebody struggling with keeping up with all the information on the changes, we've got all the latest information, picture, easy read, very accessible. But you also can see the sorts of things you can get involved with or fundraise for. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think actually just one other, if I may, Dorothy, is to say to people, if they do want to reach out to the Sunnybank Trust, The easiest way to do it, because I'll never remember web addresses and things like that, is just go onto Google and type in Sunnybank Trust, and actually all your links come up on there. And so that's the page, that's the Facebook page, and you've got everything there. I'm sure, Martin, you know how to use Google all the time, don't you?
Yeah,
I love Google.
much cooler.
I do really because I've been using Google for years, so I know my way around Google so much. So yeah.
Great. Thanks very much, Martin, for that. That's brilliant. Now, Dorothy and Martin, thank you for joining me today here on Channel KT4. The work that Sunnydale Trust undertakes is truly amazing and such important work for our little borough. Yet another incredible charity that continues to support our local community. Martin, have you got any final words for our viewers today to tell them something, to get involved, to raise money, to just reach out to Sunnybank Trust? Over to you, Martin, your moment.
Okay, keep smiling, keep shining. First of all, keep smiling, keep shining. And second of all, if you see a person who has a learning disability, don't be afraid just to speak to them. Like for me, I am like anybody who has a learning disability. There are normal people just like you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Martin. And Dorothy, over to you.
I would say exactly what Martin has said. We would love to hear from you if anybody wants to find out more about the Sunnybank Trust. There is so much work still to be done. There is so much work. We need every resource and every hand we can get. So get in touch, really, via Google or however you do it.
Dorothy, Martin, thank you very much. You've been absolute stars. It's been lovely chatting to you, and I hope to be able to meet you both in person at some time in the future. Here at Channel KT4, my pleasure. Here at Channel KT4, we like to support our advertisers who support the local magazine, The Cuddingtonian. So a big shout out to all the boys and girls at the Amber Plumbing. You'll probably be on call this Easter, but we hope you have some time with your families. Thank you for keeping us watered, heated, gas safe, and unblocked through lockdown. This is Graham Jones on Channel KT4. Next week, I'm on holiday for Easter. Well, actually, I'm going to be in my garden, however. But the following week, on Tuesday, 13th of April at 12:30, I'll be delighted to welcome Dora May Hancock, who left a message earlier, and she's the Chief Officer of Age Concern Epsom and Ewell. So until then, have a lovely Easter. Stay safe and bye now.